Back. We have done notes for the day one new patient exam. We just did the report of findings visit as well. So now all the charges and the diagnoses are saved in the patient file. We have also done videos on how to properly document and complete your CT note for the re-exam and the re-eval. Now the daily visit. To simplify what we're doing and to make sure our notes are compliant, complete, and done in a timely manner. What we do in Buffalo Ridge is we make sure that we're using the CT announcer, so the patients are called to the rooms, so that way the staff and the docs don't have to monitor where patients are going and what they're doing. They're called by their name to the next available table or room. Once they get called, we're going to use my son's file here as an example. They'll go into the room after they've been trained on visit 3 for their break-in. That's their first inflow adjustment. They're going to know how to do this every time, so they're going to come up to the computer screen. They're going to enter in their PIN code. And what will pop up is your subjective menu. And now in Jasmine, I know that you guys have done this at the front desk, and you've done it primarily with PIPs, but we have everybody do this this form. So if they're coming in with any type of gripe, ache or pain, whatever, make sure that they're doing this properly. Now, for the VAS schedule, you make sure, or the schedule, you make sure that at each table or each station, there's a picture on the wall that has the facial expressions along with the description of what each of those numbers equates to pain-wise, so that way you have a consistent answer every single time. And if we're ever called to the carpet on it, we have verifiable proof that we're using a consistent system for it. So let's make sure that they answer this completely. If they're a wellness patient, they can click no symptoms. But if there are PIP patients, we want to make sure they do this screen for each area that they're having issues with. So then after they've done that neck, they're going to go to the lower back. You know, whatever the things are, just have them complete it. When they're done, they're done. Then they go face down and they wait for us. So you'll see once that pops up, I've got his subjective note populates here, okay? The diagnoses are carried over in the top right-hand corner. The charges are carried over, all right? That's what's happening consistently. That the daily visit is being driven by the treatment plan we set up on day 1. That's going to be that way for the next 12 visits. The charges, diagnoses, any changes will happen at the re-exam or the re-eval, and that drives the next 12 visits. Okay, 12 visits at a time. Make sure you have your screen set up, so whatever their treatment plan is, their frequency, make sure those are checked off. To the left, use the spine, put your x-ray listings in there. That way, when you go back to build an objective note, a re-exam, re-eval, you are consistently using the same levels of subluxation, and there's no guesswork there, and it will always tie out with the level of service that we are billing. The bottom of the screen, make sure you have your x-rays. A to P in lateral cervical, A to P in lateral thoracic, A to P in lateral lumbar. So you can pull them up, you can have conversation with patients if need be, you can recheck your listings, line of drive, whatever. You've got everything at your fingertips. Now to the daily note. He's done his subjective portion, so if I click on this, what's going to happen here, everything that's been populated, we see the note that he just created, and it's going to include some ADLs in there along with his VAS score. Then if you go to objective, here are the objective findings, all right, carried over from his previous visit. Now, if there's something that I want to go in here and tweak and change, I can easily go in here and do that. The assessment, okay? So this is daily assessment for wellness care, all right? If I wanted to change this, I can easily go over here to assessment and put remained as. And then what happens is this, all right? Assessment, showing improvement, meeting expectations, continued care is necessary, and then it pops in the diagnoses, right? Those diagnoses should be in there for the PIPs, for major med, anybody we're billing insurance for. If it's a wellness patient, then it can look like that, okay? And then under the plan, right, we had listed out our treatment plan previously. So again, in here, you can have, this should have already been carried over, but all in there, and then your closing statement. Your note's done. Saved. Charges are done. Diagnoses are done. You hit next. We're ready for the next patient. Your note's done. Everything is done for the day. Just make sure it's signed. Okay, I'm not signing it because I'm going to go back and delete this, but just make sure it's signed, and you don't have to go back and do it. So make sure that you're doing this thoroughly, completely, efficiently for coding, for compliance, for documentation. We cannot grow as a team, as individual offices, or as a company if we are bogged down with paperwork, if things are messy, if they're out of order, if diagnoses and charges are not matching up with the level of services that we're providing to that patient that goes back and ties out to their history. Everything has to tie out. Build your patient case like an attorney would build the closing argument in a case. Everything builds on everything else. The more that we get this down, the easier and freer our minds can be to really and truly serve more people, and we cannot